T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Holla, holla, we dem boys. Actually, I am dat boy. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's just RP in hour one, and coming up in hour two, the iconic Mike Richards will be joining us. If there was a Mount Rushmore of Canadian sports talk broadcasters, Mike Richards would be on it. He's always fun. And listen, we're going to get as much fun out of the way in hour one, but it's just me and you, and then Mike Richards is more fun than a barrel of monkeys. You all know that. With so many fun things to talk about. We're live on the Game Plus television network across Canada, 32 U.S. states, and tell your friends that RP's on the air. We are going to be talking a lot of CFL today because there's a lot of news to get to, but I guess let's get right down to it because it is December. We're on Canadian television. The big story is the National Hockey League, and there were 10 games on Tuesday night. So I'm going to go through some of the highlights. Let me just take care of a little business here. If you're watching on YouTube, please do me a favor. Like it. If you like the show, like the YouTube feed. That'll help us. And the text line is open, 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. It's the best way to get a hold of me, really. And on if you're watching on television, it's the only way to get a hold of me. And these are the days that you can get your comments read because it's just me. We might actually do this tomorrow. I'm working on some rotating co-hosts as well. Kevin the Medium is down in the Dominican Republic, and I'm not sure he's even going to make it back. We covered that last week, so I won't get into it here. Let me say it again. The big story, NHL from Tuesday night. It's kind of a good news, bad news scenario. Bad news for Jets fans. Mikko Rantanen had 3 helpers, and the visiting Dallas Stars scored twice on the power play to edge the Winnipeg Jets 4-3. Mark Scheifele had 2 goals for the Jets. And Kyle Connor chipped in with 2 assists as the Jets lost their second straight in 4 of their last 5. But I want to stick with this ain't positive either. For Oilers fans, Elks Tuck scored 33 seconds into overtime as the visiting Buffalo Sabres defeated the Edmonton Oilers 4-3. I wanted to go on a tour of all these, but I'm going to stop here for a second. This morning on NHL radio, they were vilifying Evan Bouchard of the Oilers for the game-winning goal. And for those that are watching up in Edmonton or Northern Alberta or wherever Oiler fans are tuned in from today, I was not staying up late to watch the game in overtime, but within seconds I could find it, of course, the highlight. And Evan Bouchard was not victimized on the last goal. Please, listen, I was a goalie. So, yeah, we didn't pay entirely enough attention to the X's and O's, but that was Connor McDavid's man. Alex Tuck was Connor McDavid's man in overtime on the game-winning goal. And I feel like it's a case of, it's Connor McDavid. We can't blame him for not picking up his guy in overtime. Can I get some thoughts on that from the viewers, please? I mean, I just feel we all know that the latest whipping boy in Edmonton is Evan Bouchard. They always got to have one, and it's been him for a while. And if it's not him, it's Darnell Nurse. But anyways, I'll just say, from what I know, as a guy that does, I think, know the game, he wasn't the GOAT. And Emil Heineman scored in the fourth round of the shootout after New York allowed a tying goal in the closing seconds of regulation, and the Islanders beat Vegas 5-4. Cutter hot, which I guess I can stop calling him that. I call him Cutter hot forever because that's what they called him in Philly. But he ain't in Philly anymore. Carter Hart lost for the first time in 3 starts in the Vegas goal since returning to the NHL. At some point, maybe today is the day, we'll stop reading this addendum to this story. The 27-year-old goalie was one of 5 2018 Canada World Junior Hockey players acquitted of sexual assault in July. Let's quit it today for the basis of this show, because there are some people that will never stop talking about that. But it was one of those nights where I had multiple screens going. I don't always, but last night I did for the NHL games and thoroughly enjoyed it. The Vegas New York Islanders game was on TNT, and I'll be honest, you all know now that we go to air in Nevada in hour 2. We've very quickly become Vegas's favorite hockey show, so I will spend more time in hour 2 on the Golden Knights game. But I'll say this, I'm pulling for the Golden Knights because of all my friends there. I'm specifically pulling for Carter Hart, and in the case of that game, it was wild, and it was one more night. I feel like every night records are being set in hockey and going down. And this was one last night. This was a game, 4 games, saw the tying goal scored in the last 15 seconds. The last time that happened in the NHL, and I have no idea who looks this stuff up. I don't know when it was the last. It had never happened before. The record before was 2 games, saw the tying goal scored in the last 15 seconds. Last night there were 4. That's an NHL record. And that Golden Knights Islanders game went to a shootout. And it went to the 4th round. And as I said, Emil Heineman scored the shootout winner in the shootout. And I'm sitting there going, what more does Carter Hart need to do? He put up the plywood on the first 3 shooters, allowed the 4th to score. None of the Vegas guys scored. And by the way, that was Mitch Marner, Jack Eichel, Shea Theodore. So anyways, this wasn't on the feet of Carter Hart, but that happened last night. And I'll say it again. I'm pulling for the guy. It was a great night of NHL hockey. I went 6 of 10 on my picks, and while you would think that sucks, as I learned from my betting friends, 58% pays. We're brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. If you haven't figured it out yet, when it is just me going solo, I don't have as much time to dip into the comments, but we've got a break coming up here in exactly 2 minutes' time. So I'll get to your comments on these games from the NHL last night. In Winnipeg, I feel like you're done talking about it. You all know the issue there. Still wanting to know if you saw what I saw, that it was Connor McDavid's man, Alex Tuch, that got free and scored the winning goal. So why are people whipping Evan Bouchard today if he doesn't deserve it? Point 2, I'm going to jump on this right now. I said there was going to be some CFL talk, and there was a lot of news come out yesterday. Number 1, with the CFL schedule, I was disappointed in the naysayers, the poo-pooers, the yeah-but crowd. Really disappointed me yesterday. It was like, I know for a lot of people, I'm not one of them, but when the schedule comes out for your favorite league, it's like Christmas, especially for CFL fans. What yesterday became was, we're all waiting for Christmas as kids, and then we get a gift that we don't like. That's what yesterday was. So in the sake of audience participation in the break and moving forward, what's the worst Christmas present you ever had? Because as a teen, I had a couple in back-to-back years. When I was 15, I got an electric razor. I'm like, for real? And then when I was 16, I got a typewriter. I was hoping for goaltender's equipment. I got a typewriter. An electric one. I'm not that old. But you get the sense that your parents kind of know what's preordained for you before you even do. What was the worst Christmas present you ever had? And you were like CFL fans yesterday that were all ticked off that you didn't like the schedule. My God, you wait like Christmas for this and then you're mad. Holy If that isn't the most CFL thing ever. But Cody Fajardo's back in Edmonton. I have thoughts on that. We'll be right back. We're just getting going on the warm-up. Just me solo with you here on Game Plus TV.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, and it's me solo because it's Wednesday, and I will remind you it's the Canadian hour of the RP Show. Hour 2 is USA topics as we go to air across Nevada, and also still here on our Overlords Game Plus. By the way, does your message stand out? At Outlaw Communications, we make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise to the role. From media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content, he'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. Back on point with a quick 6 show topics for those that showed up late. Ryan in Saratoga, New York. Bill in the Queen City. What we talked about, number one, really was the only thing, was last night's NHL games. And nobody has argued with me that it was Connor McDavid who let his guy go in overtime. Not Evan Bouchard, yet it's Bouchard that's getting flamed because that's what everybody does. And by the way, this was on NHL radio that they were pointing the finger at Bouchard. And I'm like, it's not even a gray area. It's black and white. who should have picked up Alex Tuck, but it's just me. Oh, hang on. People are getting, are you reading my diary? They're getting ahead of the points I haven't got to yet. And we talked about the CFL schedule coming out yesterday, and it felt like everybody waiting for Christmas and then getting a gift that you didn't like. That's what we've been talking. That was point 2, just CFL stuff. And I said, what was a gift that you got that you didn't like? Because for when I was 15, I got an electric razor. I thought it was a joke. Money was tight. And when I was 16, I got a typewriter. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I was sitting there shaking this thing in the days before Christmas. Never once thinking it was a typewriter. Bill writes in from the Queen City. He says, was the typewriter an Underwood? Bro, I can't remember, and I'm embarrassed to say how long ago that was. I want to say maybe a Minolta. And you know me, I try to keep it positive. I will tell you what was the best gift I ever had was when I was 10, and it was a pair of Cooperalls. And I've been begging my dad and begging my dad and begging my dad for a pair of Cooperalls. But again, money was tight. And if you don't know what Cooperalls are, Google them. We don't have time. But they came out and it was a royal blue with a white strip. Oh, my God. Best gift I ever had. That's the CFL fan that likes the schedule when it comes out. I was shocked at all the bitching, but again, it's just the rite of passage with CFL fans right now. Bull writes in regarding there's a preseason game, CFL preseason game to be played in Saskatoon. He says lots of people are already complaining about the game in Saskatoon, whether it's at SMF, Saskatoon Minor Football Field, or Griffith Stadium, home of the University Huskies. Can it be enjoyed? Can it not be enjoyed that a preseason game's coming to Saskatoon? Right? Anyways, I'm not just whistling Dixie here. I want some audience participation. What's the worst Christmas gift you ever had? 902-518-3033. Don't tell me you didn't have one. You all did. It's brought to you by Western Dodge, our text line. Moose Jaw's go-to for Ram trucks and Jeep adventures. You guessed it, Western Dodge. Stop in today. Right. Okay. Kirk writes in from Toronto. He's watching on Game Plus TV. He says, it's a winter wonderland here in Toronto today with heavy, wet snow. Even the city recycling trucks were getting stuck. I think I can let the cat out of the bag now. It's all good. My secondary vehicle is no longer my secondary vehicle. It left me stranded on a Saskatchewan road Saturday night, and I left it there. Got a ride back to Regina. Thank you, Mark Mueller. Flew back to Florida. I said, I'll deal with it when I get back to Florida. It's off. It's got the bill today from the tow company. Goodbye. Rest in peace. It was a good bucket of bolts, but it ain't mine anymore. So you can have it. And by the way, I'll also say this. It was stolen from the side of the road. We dispatched the tow truck company on Monday afternoon to find it. Yep. Tow truck company owner calls me, goes, there ain't no van here. Yeah, somebody stole it and then ditched it again. Anyways, happy to be alive. Survived. Ross is watching in Humboldt, Sask. Thank you, Ross. And he writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, Ross here, I just watched the highlight of the Tuck goal. I agree with what you saw. McDavid overcommitted. Bouchard was already in position. Right? That's why you've got to be really careful, I'm sorry to say, with what you hear from the pundits, whether it's news, whether it's sports, whatever. These guys were just bashing Bouchard this morning on NHL radio. I'm like, I got to go watch this for my... Was it as bad as they... It wasn't even his fault. He had his guy. Nobody picked up Tuck. Who was the next guy in the screen? McDavid. Anyways, and then the other news, because I'm not going to sit here and belabor all of the CFL stuff, but Cody Fajardo signing with the Edmonton Elks. The inside on this, and this is how things have changed. I'd been asking Cody to get on this show with me for some time. Well, since the end of the season. And he got back to me and said, I'll come on when I know where I'm going to be playing next year. And I was like, huh? And they were in the middle of contract talks between the Elks in Edmonton and Cody Fajardo, the Grey Cup MVP of 2023. And I don't know, this is Cody's story to tell, but I got a message into the Elks. I'm like, how can you not want this guy? And they're like, oh, we do. And when both sides want something to come together, it usually should happen, but there's a little thing that got in the way, and it's called business. And I actually talked about this in my commentary this morning. You can go read it right now at rodpedersen.com. But Cody's not a young single man anymore. Married, father of 2, living in Nevada. And there was some business hoops to get through. And there was a chance that they wouldn't. But they did. And it was announced yesterday that Cody Fajardo is back for 2026. And I think it's only 2026. I will say that he had an opportunity outside the CFL. That's all I want to say about it. That was weighing very heavily on his mind. It was a good one. But most of these young men in these positions realize that those jobs will always be there. You can't play forever. And he's back with Edmonton, which is the best move for Edmonton. Okay, moving on. This is a very fun one. They're all fun, but this is an extra fun one. Point 3 of the Quick Six Show topics. The Indianapolis Colts signed 44-year-old Philip Rivers to the practice roster. Rivers took his last NFL snap with the Colts in a playoff loss following the 2020 season. He announced his retirement in January of 2021. The Colts have signed 44-year-old Philip Rivers. The move came less than 24 hours after Colts coach Shane Steichen confirmed Indy's starting quarterback Daniel Jones would miss the rest of the season with a torn right Achilles tendon, and backup Riley Leonard injured his right knee. So as crazy as that all sounds, because it is, stick with me. And this is more audience participation. I'm still waiting to hear what's the worst Christmas gift you ever got. Here's a trivia question for you. So 5 years in between starts. Feels like that might be an NFL record, right? And this morning I was listening to, as I do every morning, NBC Sports Radio, Mike Florio and Chris Sims, and they're talking about this. That's my favorite show. Everybody likes different shows for different reasons. These guys are so real. And I guess Florio likes the things that I like history. I know these days nobody gives a rat's ass about history, but I do. And Florio does, and Sims too. So not only is Philip Rivers 5 years in between starts not a record, it ain't even close to the record. And I'll tell you before we go to break who holds the record, but I want you to think about it. Maybe some of you were listening to Florio this morning, but the NFL record between starts is 9 years, and you know who it is. I would have never got it in a million years. Florio put it to Chris Sims, and it wasn't even fair. Florio's like, you'll never get it, and you'll kick yourself when I tell you. 9 years, and I can't give you any hints. So, and then with Sims, I mean, he played in the league. What did he say? Couldn't believe Sims, 45, 48 years old, looks 28, Sims does. But he goes, there was absolutely zero indication that Philip Rivers was even considering still playing football 5 years after he retired. Like usually, as Sims said, usually you hear so-and-so's working out, so-and-so's looking good. We had it here in Florida for years with various players. I don't even know where Rivers is living, but basically he's saying this one came out of flipping nowhere. He's got 1 million kids. Everybody thought he was busy being a dad. No, coming out of retirement to quarterback the Indianapolis Colts, which, by the way, the poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Inspire and grow with EMJ Marketing's comprehensive speaker and business marketing services. Find out more at emjmarketing.com. The poll question is, can Philip Rivers lead the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl? The results so far, 89% of you saying no, he can't. Get a hold of yourself. I voted yes, he can. He can. I mean, Santa Claus could drop out of the sky. That could happen here today. Not likely. There's a big difference between can Philip Rivers lead the Colts to the Super Bowl and will he lead the Colts to the Super Bowl? That's the way I word it. Can he lead them to the Super Bowl? Of course he can. If they get in the playoffs, and to be honest, I'm just excited for the Colts leadership group that they made a bold move like this to not ruin their season. And so, by the way, from the audience, Jeremy is writing in from Winnipeg. He says, Philip Rivers is What are you saying, Jim? He goes, Rivers is Joe Flacco. Oh, that wasn't a typo. Rivers is Joe Flacco. Colts are dead. Flacco came off the couch, was it last year or 2 years ago, and led a team to the playoffs. This year was traded to Cincinnati to save the Bengals season. Now Joe Burrow's back, and it's too late. I kind of know what you're saying. But, the Colts are being laughed at across the league for signing a 44-year-old guy. Would they have made a call to the Bengals? I haven't heard. I mean, is Joe Flacco available? Maybe they made that call. Maybe we would rather go with a guy that we know, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, than anybody else. I think it's a great story. Jeff in Toronto says, yeah, Pro Football Talk and Chris Sims Unbuttoned. Yeah, those are other shows that those guys do, and they're so good. Carlos in Indianapolis writes that he says, I think if Phillip Rivers can drag the Colts into a playoff spot, they can feel good about how the season overall went. I don't see them reaching the Super Bowl. Great storyline as that would make. The fact we're all going to be watching and following this is just so NFL. The stories are so fascinating. Eric's watching in Vancouver. He says, can he? Yes. That's the simple question. Can he do it? And then the debate between those two, Florio and Sims, is one that we could have here today. Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer? They said he's a legend. Yes. Hall of Famer? No. He didn't ever win the big games. But again, I think you've all said it best. It's a story. And by the way, who's the guy that went 9 years between starts? Doug Flutie. Which the difference is Flutie wasn't retiring to raise 1 million kids like Phillip Rivers. He came to the Canadian Football League, and somebody looked this up. I want to say Flutie was in the CFL 8 or 9 years and won 6 league MVPs, or at least 4. So Flutie came to the Canadian Football League to prove himself. And that was always such a great story. Warren Moon did the same thing. Doug Flutie did, 2 of the iconic CFL quarterbacks that we still talk about. Who's the last guy to even do that? Everybody talks about Cameron Wake, especially here around South Florida with the BC Lions, and I get it. But that used to be a real thing. Oh, couldn't make it in the NFL. I'll go to Canada and prove myself and come back. Flutie was the guy that went 9 years between starts. And Chris Sims said, he goes, that doesn't count. Maybe it shouldn't, but that's the record. Anyways, we got some good comments. 902-518-3033. What's the worst Christmas present you ever had? Because I was CFL fans with a schedule yesterday. 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge, and we'll be back in a moment. Mike Richards coming up in hour 2. We're live across Canada and 32 U.S. states on Game Plus TV.
Are you ready? January 8th to 11th, it all goes down in Moose Jaw at the Yara Center. The battle on the prairies. NCAA rules. 25 elite teams. Alberta, Boston, Texas, Mexico, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. All under one roof. Come watch live. Tickets available right at the door. Pay-per-view will be available at ikslive.ca.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having as much fun as we are. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and thanks for playing along with my little questions and polls here today. It makes it so much easier when it's just me, which I think it's going to be just me tomorrow as well, producer Corey. And I thank Joe 747 Gunnis on Friday, on a Football Friday. By the way, sign up for the rodpedersen.com newsletter. Comes out every Sunday, brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Speaking of Christmas gifts, this will not be the worst that you'll get. It'll be the best. If you're stuck for gift ideas, Suds gift cards available online at our location or at Costco. They're the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. For those that joined us late here on Game Plus TV or wherever you may be tuning in from, Mission Radio across the southern U.S., shout out Ryan O'Media. I'm asking, what's the worst Christmas gift you ever got? Because of Tuesday's schedule release across the Canadian Football League, so many fans were bitching. They didn't like the schedule. And I'm like, oh my God, you sound like little kids waiting for Christmas and got a present you didn't like, which we all hate that kid. We were that kid. I was that kid. Got an electric razor when I was 15. I'm like, really? And then a typewriter. I still laugh. When I was 16. This does not feel like goaltender's equipment. Brad writes in, where are you watching, Brad? Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. He says, worst Christmas present? A dented toolbox from an aunt and uncle when I was 16. And yes, an electric razor when I, too, was 15. Oh, maybe that's where my parents got the idea. Ryan in upstate New York writes it. He says, growing up, my grandma used to get us kids socks. I hated it. But as I got older, I loved getting socks from her. I miss her dearly. Oh, I know. Well, I love getting socks, too. A beloved dresser full of them here. And one thing I love about our beloved CFL, every year at the Grey Cup, they give us a pair of socks with the year of the Grey Cup on it. I wear those babies everywhere. They're a wonderful conversation starter. Jeff writes in from Toronto. He says, I am Portuguese. I got a razor when I was 11. Oh, you guys are ahead of the game there. And by the way, the snowman checking in. Brian Snow, Snowman in the morning. Snowman here checking in from Indiana. Love the show, says this. Snowman's going to be on this program tomorrow talking NFL. So get ready. Which, speaking of NFL, we're talking about Phillip Rivers signing with the Indianapolis Colts and how the rest of the NFL is snickering at them. And, well, let's see how it works. See how it plays out first before we snicker. Jim writes in from Balgony, and he says, Phillip Rivers is 44, so you're saying there's a chance for us old guys? With a laughing emoji. I think it's great. The older you get, I think we all understand that, right? Like, score one for the old guys. I love that John Huffnagel's being brought in and John Barker to clean up the Toronto Argonauts. I'm all for people saying, you know what? Nobody can do it better than you, and you're proven. So can you come in and fix this? And I hope that's the case for Phillip Rivers and Huff and Jim Barker, for that matter. That very same Jim in Balgony writes in and he says, yes, early Christmas gift today. Mike Richards on the RP show. Love me some Mike. Listen, I'm almost a little fearful for what's going to come out of his mouth. Okay, which, speaking of, it's funny, you're from Balgony. I'll say this again for the benefit of the people that weren't here yesterday or Monday. But I was going through the Denver airport customs. There was 3 retired farmers behind me. One of them was wearing a jacket that said Balgony Barons. I'm like, who are the Barons? I've never heard of the Balgony Barons. But they all said, Rod, we'll see your smiling face all the time. We love it. But we go back and forth between you and Overdrive on TSN. And I'm like, I don't think we're on at the same time, but whatever. I'm like, thanks for watching it all. I don't know, still don't know why anybody would watch here. But TSN, Overdrive, RP show, Game Plus TV, Clash of the Titans. Works for me. And I feel like Mike Richards started that show. And he's going to be with us an hour, too. Oh, Coach DeBuck has checked in from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He says, glad to see Cody back with the Eskimos. Hey, it's Elkimos, Coach. And by the way, he says, nice shirt. This is the hoodie that I got from his team, from Matt. He handed it to me in the locker room, Cardinal Gibbons football, and the helmet, too. Hey, Coach. We talked about it earlier, but we're all over the road here right now, so we're like in viewer takeover a little early. Yes, Cody Fajardo and the Edmonton Elkimos ironed out contract details. I was talking to both sides through the whole thing, and I don't like this part. I would have liked to have told you all what was going on, and if it wasn't Cody, I might have. Like, for instance, I was at the Chiefs game. Coach DeBuck introduced me to Benjamin. What's Benjamin's last name? Benjamin Victor, receiver for the Elks. He's from here, South Florida. And we got talking about Cody, and he's like, I need Cody throwing me the ball. Benjamin played many years in the NFL, several years in the NFL. And so I knew what was going on. Cody had an offer outside the CFL. There was a business issue. But he wanted to be back in Edmonton. The Elkimos wanted him. It just took a little while to work it out, but they announced it yesterday. Yes, Benjamin Victor. Thank you. I got it right. Vancouver Eric writes in. He says, the NFL has a quarterback problem. Once you get past the top tier guys, it's terrible. Bridgewater, Rivers. Well, again, Rivers played there last 5 years ago. You weren't watching, Coach DeBuck, when we talked about this earlier. 5 years between starts. Who holds the record in the NFL for the longest time between starts with 9 years? Doug Flutie. But if I can go off the board here just a second, I'm sitting here looking at this college football playoff, which, you know what? I was saving this for hour 2 when we go to air in Nevada, but I'll say it here now. This is off schedule point 3B of the Quick Six Show topics. Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bavacua thinks there's a simple solution to politicking for college football playoff spots: expansion. Bavacua was still upset Tuesday about the selection committee's decision to bypass the Fighting Irish from the 12-team playoff field and the ACC's public campaigning to get full-time league member Miami a spot, which worked. Bavacua then called a 16-team format the perfect number. He also thinks the committee should be more transparent with its selection process. Speaking of petulant children. Pete Bavacia. So with all of that, Notre Dame has completely taken all the focus away from the Texas Longhorns not making the 12-team playoff, which is a team that we follow closely for a variety of reasons. 2 former Rough Riders quarterbacks are on that staff, Steve Sarkisian and Kerry Joseph. They fired their running backs coach yesterday or Monday, either way this week, and Texas isn't in. They were in the Final Four the last 2 years. I believe it was the Sugar Bowl both years, and nobody's saying anything about Texas. And hello, Arch Manning wasn't named a Heisman Trophy finalist, and he shouldn't have been. $5 million NIL. I did a quick, you got talking about the NFL quarterback issue, got me thinking about this. Arch Manning in Texas made more money than Justin Fields' base salary with the Jets this year and Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix starters' money in Washington and Denver. Arch Manning, what is he, 20? And still couldn't get him into the playoffs. And I'm sure there's heat on Sarkisian in Austin and amongst the Longhorns nation, but like literally nobody's talking about it because Notre Dame's been doing all the crying all week. And then the commissioner of the ACC coming out and saying, grow up, which I thought was awesome. We'll carry the rest of this over into after the break. We're at 3B. Carlos in Indianapolis writes that he says, expand a playoff or tournament all you want. Someone's going to get snubbed unless everyone gets in. That's my point. I'm like, Mr. Bavacia, they just expanded it 2 years ago. Maybe beat Miami, and you wouldn't have been in this bind. But nobody wants to look at themselves. Nobody wants to look at themselves. We'll be back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. Mike Richards in hour 2. We're live across Canada and 32 U.S. states here on Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. The RP show continues, and let me stop for a second and tell you about the junior hockey report for the Mad Greek Eatery. Montreal Canadiens prospect Bryce Pickford has been named WHL Player of the Week. Pickford, a 19-year-old from Chauvin, Alberta, registered 8 points and a +6 rating in 3 games as the Tigers went 3-0. And Regina Pats netminder Matthew Hutchison has been named WHL Goalie of the Week. The 19-year-old recorded a 32-save shutty in his lone appearance this past season. Hailing from Nanaimo, British Columbia, Hutchison blanked the Saskatoon Blades on Sunday, backstopping the Pats to a 4-0 victory. It was the first win by God's team at SaskTel Center in 2.5 years. Sports update for, junior hockey report for the Mad Greek Eatery. From classic to loaded, pizza night starts at the Mad Greek Eatery. Big WHL fans there. Order online, pick up, or dine in at themadgreekeatery.com. Oh, boy. So for those that joined us late, have we had a lot of topics on the table today? That's what we do here every day, the Golden Corral of Sports. Number one NHL from last night. It was McDavid's man, Alex Tuck, that he let go and scored the overtime winner. Why is everybody flaming Evan Bouchard? Golden Knights losing in a shootout in Long Island. Not Carter Hart's fault. It was an NHL record. 4 games saw the tying goal scored with under 15 seconds left in regulation. It's just wild. I had multiple screens out last night. I've become that guy. Some of the highlights from last night in the NHL. What else? Oh, CFL, the schedule. Again, I have to repeat myself. I feel like a kindergarten teacher for all that showed up late. CFL schedule came out and all I heard was bitching. I said it's like a child getting a Christmas gift they don't like. What was yours that you didn't like? We've had some very good ones coming in here, and we have more. I'll get to those. Notre Dame still whining about being snubbed. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, Dylan Dubé, last of the 5, signs an AHL tryout with the St. Louis Blues Springfield Thunderbirds pending a work visa. Thank you for that update, Tony in Cochrane, Alberta. Got my NHL top 5 coming up, by the way. Kirk. Oh, and we talked about, that's our poll question. We talked about Phillip Rivers signing with the Colts at the age 44. I think anybody that's getting on in years celebrates that move for obvious reasons. Kirk's watching on Game Plus TV in Toronto. He says, hey, Rod, I read where 38 was middle-aged for a man. We're old, Rod. No. We're quite old. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. It's a blessing. I'm not sitting here complaining. But when Chris Chelios was playing till he was 48 and we thought that was literally ancient, I mean, with all due respect, I didn't need to read that 38's middle age. 76 is the average age to kick off. Yeah, I'm aware of all of this. This summer I was getting my my physical, and the nurse goes, well, you are getting up there. Truth hurts. 902-518-3033. What's the worst Christmas gift you ever got? And I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I don't. Mine was a electric razor one year and a typewriter the next. Wayne in BC writes in, Yeah, it's good. I get where you're coming from, Wayne, but he says he's in Victoria, BC. He says it makes me smile when NFL teams will sign a 44-year-old retired quarterback instead of trying a quarterback from the CFL. I'm talking about a proven quarterback from the CFL. Oh, I know. But I just think in the case of the Colts, Rivers had been there. The organization knows him. It was not their first option, and they're dealing with the ridicule from everybody around football as to how do you sign this guy, because as Chris Sims said this morning, nobody even knew that he was even available or working out. Come on, but we're all pulling for them, aren't we, the Colts? I was pulling for them the second Carly Ursay took over. I don't know her, but I'm like, it's a fascinating story. Go Colts! Cowboys are going to be out of the playoffs. We all know that, so got to cheer for somebody. It's becoming this. Cowboys are my regular season team, and then whoever else is my playoff team. Oh, my God. I am so all over the place here. I haven't even got to all the points yet. Point 4, NBA, Jalen Brunson had 35 points as the visiting New York Knickerbockers routed the Raptors 117-101 on Tuesday in an NBA Cup quarterfinal. So New York advances to Las Vegas. It's the first time the Raps reached the knockout stage of the in-season tournament. I have no idea how they're doing it, but I'm willing to learn. It's kind of interesting to me. Desmond Bane matched his season high with 37 points, and the Orlando Magic advanced to the NBA Cup semis with a 117-108 victory over the visiting Miami Heat Tuesday. Here in this town, South Florida, the teams, other than the Panthers, just have a way of just building up everybody's hopes and then just stepping on their balls. The last 2 NBA Cup quarterfinals go tonight with Oklahoma City hosting Phoenix and San Antonio visiting the LA Lakers. Here's the breaking news today as we get to the sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, where they're your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The National Football League announced today it will return to Munich, Germany in 2026 and 2028 to play regular season games as part of a multi-year partnership with the city of Munich and FC Bayern Munich. The games will be played at the FC Bayern Munich Stadium, which has previously hosted NFL regular season games in 2022 and 2024. Germany is a key market for the NFL globally, with more than 20 million fans of the game, the largest fan base in Europe. Meanwhile, the NHL suspended Toronto Maple Leafs forward Bobby McCann for 1 game for high-sticking Tampa Bay Lightning winger Oliver Bjorkstrand. That is your sports update, presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store. Moose Jaw, as one of our viewers said, it is Disneyland for adults. And I concur. It's a great place. Stop in and see Billy and tell him you saw us talking about him here on the old RP show. 902-518-3033. The hour's going fast. Kirk reminds us that Phillip Rivers is the second grandfather to play in the NFL after Brett Favre. How about that? This all has to do with players playing older, obviously. And as I said again, some are paying attention. Probably most aren't. But 2025 and probably moving forward is the year or the start of the year of bringing back the guys that did it before, because their replacements can't figure it out. Vancouver Eric writes in and says, Colts signed Anthony Richardson. No surprise with the Rivers experiment. They drafted him, which was as it turns out, a major mistake. But he's not the first draft bust in football history. Paul is watching and writes in on YouTube, Proverbs 16:31. A gray head is a crown of glory. Right? Oh, by the way, some of the notes that I had written down that I didn't even get to, which is good. That means that we're having too much fun and I wasn't scrambling for anything to say. But I'll say this. My neighbor Fish was very excited. Called me over the last couple of days. He's been blowing up my phone. I've been busy and on the phone doing stuff. So I finally texted him yesterday. And I said, "Where's the fire, Fish?" And he goes, "Oh, my buddy's home. When can I see you?" Went over there. He made supper. And we talked about maybe going to the national championship game. I said in 2017, I went to the Natty in Glendale, Arizona with my buddy Murray, a retired wealthy farmer. And almost 10 years ago, I want to say we paid like $115 a ticket to sit in the lower bowl at University of Phoenix Stadium to watch Clemson and Alabama. Anybody want to take a guess in the time that we have what the ticket price, what the cheapest ticket prices are for the college football national championship game to be played in Miami Gardens next month? Right in now. We only got a few minutes left here in the hour. I would divulge it, but it's always fun to get you guys guessing. We got 2 minutes left here. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. If you're watching on YouTube, and again, give us some likes. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the feed. It helps us out tremendously. What do you think is the cheapest ticket price for the national championship? Less than 10 years ago, I paid $115. I mean, roughly. It certainly was no more than $150. Go back and check my credit card receipts if I had to. John says $250. Eric in Vancouver says $800. Keep going. 32 years ago today, the Florida Panthers were awarded their expansion franchise. 32 years ago today, Sunrise, Florida was awarded an NHL team. Coincidentally, Doug McLean will be on our Cats and Bolts podcast later on this afternoon, live streaming our Cats and Bolts, Florida's most watched hockey show. So be tuned in for that. Vancouver Eric says they need to pay for those NIL contracts. I won't make you wait through the break. $2,700. So I would have said, John, add a zero to your first guess. $2,700, the cheapest ticket to get in to watch whomever against whomever. Probably OSU, Indiana. My word. $2,700, the cheapest ticket. Mike Richards joins us next hour. That'll be fun. We'll be back right after this here on the Game Plus television network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner.
Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Rolling in the BRP show here on the Game Plus television network across Canada. 32 U.S. states carry Game Plus. And then we welcome our Nevada viewers, howdy do, across the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We'll be talking a lot of Vegas sports, a lot of the sports that you love. That's what we do every day here. Welcome. And to those watching on YouTube, please comment. It helps us out a lot. Please like. And, of course, podcast form, Mission Radio. There's a lot of places to allow us to infect your minds. Coming up today, Mike Richards, not the former Los Angeles King forward. No, the iconic sports talk legend from Toronto and Calgary, Mike Richards. To be honest, I wish we could just fast forward 15 minutes now and get Mike Richards on the air. He is one of the most entertaining broadcasters going, and I just can't wait to hear what he has to say. So for that, let's get down to business and get rolling with our quick 6 show topics. By the way, if we don't get to them all in this segment, we will throughout the course of this hour here on our TV carriers, Game Plus and Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. We're going to talk NHL. We're going to talk college football. We have some CFL news. NFL. I wanted to talk Week 15, but the Phillip Rivers news has usurped all of that. NBA. And then the always vaunted, because it's Wednesday, NHL Top 5, Bottom 5 from yours truly. But let's get going. To be honest, all the teams that we follow, dare I say, cheer for, lost last night. Emil Heinemann scored in the 4th round of the shootout after the New York Islanders allowed a tying goal in the closing seconds of regulation, and the Islanders beat Vegas 5-4. Carter Hart lost for the first time in 3 starts in the Vegas goal since returning to the National Hockey League. Today's the last day, officially, that we're going to bring this up. The 27-year-old goalie from the Edmonton area was one of 5 2018 Canada World Junior Hockey players acquitted of sexual assault in July. There are people that will never let that die. Today's the last day that we're going to bring that up here. I'm pulling for Carter Hart. And by the grace of God, the game was on TNT last night, so I was able to watch it, and it was hella entertaining. Let's leave it to who? The analytics nerds to figure out why the games have been closer than they ever have been in the history of 100-plus years of NHL hockey. The games have been closer than ever. And on Tuesday night, an NHL record was set. I feel like every night there's one being set in every league. But 4 games saw the tying goal scored in the last 15 seconds of regulation. Those teams that scored it didn't all go on to win. For instance, the Knights scored with less than 15 seconds to go to send it to overtime, then the shootout. But prior to Tuesday night, the record for that set of circumstances was 2 games happening. And anyways, no Vegas shooters scored in the shootout. I was watching it. Can't blame the goalie. It went to round 4. Go Vegas, go. Oh, by the way, on that topic, the St. Louis Blues, here's breaking news on this Wednesday. The St. Louis Blues have signed Dylan Dubé to an American Hockey League professional tryout agreement. Dubé is the last remaining player of the 5 from the Team Canada scandal from 2018 to sign a contract somewhere. Defenseman Cal Foote signed with the AHL Chicago Wolves last week, while forwards Alex Fermenton and Michael McLeod went over to Europe. The Blues said Dubé would report to the Springfield Thunderbirds after receiving his work visa. Back to on the ice. I asked for some people to help me out with this and tell me, am I crazy? I mean, I probably am. But Alex Tuch scored 33 seconds into overtime as the visiting Buffalo Sabres defeated the Edmonton Oilers 4-3 on Tuesday night. And a couple things on that. I don't even think I follow Ryan Whitney on Twitter, one half of the Spit and Chicklets fame duo, NHL podcasters. But he was the one that was saying, oh, here come the Oilers, here come the Oilers. Well, they'd won 2 in a row. Woo-woo. And then they lose to the Sabres last night. I guess I can't, with any team, but especially Canadian NHL teams, it's way too up and then way too down, especially the Oilers. But anyways, listening to NHL radio this morning, they were just banging on Evan Bouchard on the game-winning goal to the point that I'm like, I got to go look up this goal. Was it as bad as they say? And it wasn't even Evan Bouchard's guy. He had his guy, Alex Tuch, who scored the winner that I just said. It was Connor McDavid's guy. And McDavid left Alex Tuch all alone in front of the net. But I guess, so what is it? Is it because it's just in vogue to bash Evan Bouchard when it's not even his fault, just everybody does it? Or are you too afraid to say that Connor McDavid wasn't aware defensively in overtime? What is it? I didn't need the corroboration from the viewers to write and say, yeah, you were right, Rod, but we like to hear it. Any positive comments to tell me how smart I am, we will take it. 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. Which, incidentally, I'm looking for one after leaving mine on the side of the road Saturday night near Lanigan, Saskatchewan, and will not be going back to pick it up. The proper authorities have been notified. I didn't break a law. So, Mikko Rantanen had 3 assists, and the visiting Dallas Stars scored twice on the power play to edge the Winnipeg Jets 4-3. Tuesday night, Mark Scheifele had 2 goals for the Jets. Kyle Connor chipped in with 2 assists as the Jets lost their second straight and 4 of their last 5. I feel like we don't really need to talk about that anymore because we all know the issues there. We're all just, for the sake of the Winnipeg Jets, praying that they can, because they're sinking like a stone without Connor Hellebuck. Point 2, this is a fun one. And I don't know if our guest, Mike Richards, will weigh in on this when he joins us next. Maybe, maybe not. I'd like to get his thoughts on the latest. Notre Dame, the latest on this story. Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bavacqua thinks there's a simple solution to politicking for college football playoff spots, and that's expansion. Bavacqua was still upset Tuesday about the selection committee's decision to bypass Notre Dame from the 12-team playoff and the ACC's public campaigning to get full-time league member Miami a spot, which worked. Bavacqua then called a 16-team format the perfect number. He also thinks the committee should be more transparent with the selection process. Like, literally, I feel like everybody was okay letting Notre Dame complain for like a day, maybe 2. But now it's like, Pete, zip it. And the ACC commissioner came out and said, you're out of line. I mean, this morning I was listening to Joe Rose on my way to the gym, my favorite sports radio guy here in favorite media guy actually here in South Florida, Joe Rose from WQAM, former Dolphins tight end. He's like, the ACC commissioner, sorry, his name escapes all of us, but it doesn't matter. The ACC commissioner said what we were all thinking. Shut up, Pete. And he went on to say that Bavacqua's his conduct around this has been unprofessional, which it has. You didn't get in. You didn't win the games you were supposed to. Stop whining. And then we all agreed, do we not? It was 4 teams. So they bitched for years and probably had a right. So then they expanded it to 12. So the 13th team now wants it expanded to 16. Where does it end? Somebody's always going to be upset, which that's point 2A, 2B. I'll just briefly bring this up. It's been a theme throughout the program, covering in an hour one on Game Plus TV. The Canadian Football League schedule came out on Tuesday, and for CFL fans, like a lot of fans, NFL fans are no different. It's Christmas for them that day. And all I heard, was bitching about the schedule. I'm like, oh my God. And it just reminded me of the kid, that we were that kid, so excited for Christmas, and then we didn't like what we got, which we deserved it. This. And that was in my mind, that's for the CFL fans that were complaining on Tuesday about the schedule. And so I was asking the viewers, what's the worst Christmas gift you ever had? And we've had some good ones. I'll tell you mine. An electric razor when I was 15. Money was tight. It was a practical gift. A lesson was learned in there, frankly, that has served me for the rest of my life. But at the time, it sucked. Thought my parents hated me. And then the next year, I thought I was getting goaltenders equipment because that's what I asked for. And I got a typewriter. Point 3. Oh, and another CFL note. Nevada Wolfpack legend, 2023 Grey Cup MVP, Cody Fajardo has signed a contract extension with the Edmonton Elks of the Canadian Football League. Cody will be appearing on this show in short order. So, point 3. To me, the most fun out of all these topics, the Indianapolis Colts signed 44-year-old Philip Rivers to the practice roster. He took his last NFL snap with the Colts in a playoff loss following the 2020 season, announced his retirement in January 2021. The move came less than 24 hours after Colts coach Shane Steichen confirmed Indy's starting quarterback Daniel Jones would miss the rest of the season with an Achilles tendon tear, and backup Riley Leonard is out with an injured right knee. So, the poll question today for EMJ Marketing, which, by the way, inspire and grow with EMJ Marketing's comprehensive speaker and business marketing services. Find out more at emjmarketing.com. Can, note the wording, can Philip Rivers lead the Indianapolis Colts to the Super Bowl? Close to 80% of you, last I looked, are saying no. Now I voted yes. 20%-ish of you agree with me. Had I worded it, will he lead the Colts to the Super Bowl? I think it'd be far more astoundingly no. But can he? Yeah. Anything's possible. But it's just one of the many, many storylines that make NFL football so damn exciting all the time. We're all going to be following this. To be honest, I applaud the Colts in a lot of ways. Your top guy, Daniel Jones, who some were saying was in contention for comeback player of the year, which I don't think he would have won. Maybe if he comes back next year and has a great year, he might be in Philip Rivers isn't really even, well, he's eligible, but based on the criteria of the award, wouldn't win it. But we'll see how this goes. Who else are they going to get? This is a fairly new story. They worked out Rivers on Tuesday, liked what they saw, signed him and added him to the practice roster. Were calls made for the availability of Joe Flacco? Some of the CFL fan viewers wrote in and said, what about our guys? Yeah, that doesn't seem to happen anymore. Which, speaking of all of that, the 5 years in between games, in between starts for Philip Rivers is not an NFL record. The record is 9 years between starts, held by Doug Flutie. But he came to Canada and did some pretty exciting things in that time. Nobody's clarified this for me yet either. I want to say he won the MVP 6 times in 8 years. Doug Flutie. He was the best quarterback I ever saw play live in the league. A lot of the old-timers say, no, it's Warren Moon. I'm like, I can't argue with that, but I didn't see him play live. Sorry, my Rolodex mentally only goes back to 1988. Sorry. Hey, Angelo writes in and says, I think ex-UNLV quarterback Shane Steichen would do a better job than Rivers. But that's the point. We're going to see. And, okay, thank you, Paul in Humboldt. Paul, how we never met? Because I feel like we're on the same spiritual and mental plane. How did that not happen? As a matter of fact, I know we've been in the same place at the same time. I know that. Anyways, Paul says, I didn't think Tom Brady could win a Super Bowl at 44, so what do I know? That's Tom, which he had won 6 prior to that. Phillip Rivers, I don't think's ever won a playoff game. Period. So, Tony in Cochrane, Alberta, writes in, he says, it's the same damn thing for the selection committee of the 68th that make March Madness. Very subjective and political. The thing is, they haven't found out a better way to do that either. But at the very least, they have the NIT, the National Invitational Tournament. I know you're a basketball guy, Tony, so at least the teams that get snubbed in basketball have their own tournament to play. For the college football, it's bowl games that nobody cares about. To the degree that Notre Dame's not even going to play in them. Maybe Mike Richards, when he joins us next, will have some thoughts on how college football, and for that matter, college sports could be fixed. Because normally I sit back and go, hey, there's a lot of guys getting paid a lot of money, great big money to sort this out. They didn't ask me, so but those guys screwed it all up royally. So I feel like we're at a point now where suggestions can be solicited and listened to. They should be, because you guys screwed it up. That's why they need to bring in 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. That's why they need to bring in 72-year-old John Hufnagel to the Toronto Argonauts. Sorry, we gave you your chance and you botched it. So we're taking the keys away and giving them to the old people. Said no one ever. And now that's what's happening. Wild. 902-518-3033. Is Mike Richards watching now? I want him to think about something in the break. Mike, what's the worst Christmas present you ever got? That's the theme, because we're talking about CFL fans. Waiting for Christmas for the schedule to come out and then bitching about the games. It's like what I just said. Waiting for Christmas and then being upset with what you got. Rod in Calgary writes in, he says, hey, Rod, things I'm grateful for this morning. Bouchard's not a flame. 2, Skinner's not a flame. 3, Picard's not a flame. Well, that's rude. Okay. Oh, I just opened the text line. I shouldn't have done that. That could take us hours to read all those, but thank you. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network across Nevada and Game Plus TV across Canada.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
RP Show continues here on the Game Plus TV Network and Silver State Sports Entertainment Network. By the way, sign up for the Rod Squad newsletter. It's free at rodpedersen.com. Brought to you by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds Regina's unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. Mike Richards, happy holidays, my friend.
Yes. Oh, can we not say Merry Christmas? Is that
Merry Christmas? Don't get offended.
Oh
my God!
Thank you very much for that. Hey, great to see you, my brother. Great to see your face.
Great to see yours. Great to be seen in this perilous trade. How are things going on Fan 960 Calgary and Rogers TV?
Well, we had a very good run. So because we have to do it in 13-week segments, so we finished on November 23rd. Which is sort of weird, because there's there's stuff that happens, like sports doesn't stop. So it's just kind of weird for the audience where they have to wait to July 11th. But we're, slowly kind of figuring it out, and you know what that's about because you started at some point, and you and Moose, and tried to figure out where things go and how technically things work and so on. So I'm really happy. I think 2026 will be the real banger of a year. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. The response has been great. Really good.
Oh, good. I love. Well, of course, it's you. Worst Christmas present you ever got?
Oh, it's easy, and it's sad. It's not good, folks. I mean, God bless my mother, who passed away a couple of years ago, but she was someone who could make a lot of things. But the thing that you don't want as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, when you're going over to see your hot cousins, that's right, hot cousins. We all got them. Come on, you're from the prairies. You know what I'm talking about. Hot cousins. And so I'm going to see my hot cousins, and they all had the Jordache, the jeans of the day. They had the designer jeans, as they called them. My mom made us purple corduroy pants. Now, I'm not saying that there's a challenge when you can try to be charming, and maybe you can be kind of cute. No one is that charming. Brad Pitt, at that point, is probably not getting any chicks at all by wearing purple corduroy pants. Homemade. Not a good Christmas. I think that's the year. Is that the year I started drinking? Yeah, that might have been the year I found rye. Now I think about it. It's true.
I've been on the sports banquet trail, and I often say I had to leave my hometown when my cousin started to look good because I didn't think he'd like that. Anyways, Phillip Rivers, 44.
Yeah.
Colts.
There's a couple of things, and people who watch it, but certainly people ourselves who cover sports long enough. The one thing that I don't always quite get used to is, number one, heartbreak is always tough. I like a good reclamation project. I like a good comeback story. So Danny Dimes going out doing what he wasn't really able to do in New York, and people say, what do you mean not able to do? Well, if he had been able to do and have protection and have the kinds of weapons and have an offensive coordinator and have a coach, you go down the list because, quite frankly, folks, football is a complicated sport and there's a lot of moving parts. And you need guys who know how those parts fit. If they don't, if there's a hole somewhere, it's like having a problem with your engine in your car. Maybe you can't see it, but it's going down. That's what happened to Danny Dimes. I felt bad for him. So he comes to the Colts. He's having this great season. And then you get into this thing in the Achilles. And so the NFL, being like a lot of other sports leagues, but especially in football, and CFL included, your number one guy goes down. And now you're into that really bad carousel because, look, a lot of guys have serviceable backups. I get that part. But in a league where they're picking through the garbage too, it's like, was it American pickers and Canadian pickers? Like they've already gone through your barn. They've gone through your garage. There's not a lot left there. And then if those guys aren't healthy, and that's the case in Indy. So Richardson's out. You've got a bunch of other guys. So you've got Riley Leonard. Okay, so Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. That's what they have. He played a bunch of quarters. He's the practice quarterback. He's in the camp. He knows the playbook. But they decided to go at some point, I guess, out of pure desperation because it won't work. This is not like the Joe Flacco thing where you can kind of seamlessly slip him in and he can work that offense for you. That's not going to happen because if he gets a start, and there was some weird cryptic message that went out on social media from the Colts. I don't know, some nerd, someone who went to a school much better than you and I, and he put something out there in Latin. First of all, I don't know about the Indianapolis metropolitan area, how the Latin-speaking population is, nor in the NFL, but it translates to something as we're starting again, or here's to new beginnings, something like that. I'm like, well, if it's Phillip Rivers, they're finished. They're dead because Jonathan Taylor can only do so much. You're like, okay, let's just jam the box. Let's go old high school. Let's play gap defense. And whenever we get the ball, let's just have the whole team jump on them. It's going to be a mess. I don't think they could. I would caution them to not do this. To bring a guy to camp, you've got to bring a body into a camp. So let's get that out of the way first. You simply just need those bodies to practice and do the things you do in football. So yeah, you got to find someone who's 44, whatever, bring him in. But if they don't start Riley Leonard, I have a really bad feeling about even just a 44-year-old. And he would, let's face it, in his last 5 to 6 years, I mean, he just played like he was 44. So, he's not going to start scrambling. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to figure out a way to get out of the pocket. This could be just like the Lions and the Christians in the Coliseum. And I got to tell you, the Lions in that case had a very good record.
Right. I went to Mount Royal University. Served me well. If you want to talk about the school, where'd you go?
I went to a couple of schools and they all said, "Are you done now? You finished with this experiment?" I went to Fanshawe College for a year, and then I went to Ryerson and took radio and television, very difficult to get into, but easy to get out, especially when you write your final exam in fake Chinese. Yes, that's a one-way ticket of please don't come back.
I didn't.
I wish I was making that up. I wish I was making that up. I'm not.
Why are you? You and I are like spirit animal. I didn't finish Mount Royal. I said I went. There's a difference, clearly. Yeah. What do we know about broadcasting? Reg writes in and says, "Can we get an evil Jerry call of the World Series?"
Here's the pitch. Swung on, that ball's going way back. It's got a chance now, and can you believe it? It's stuck between the padding and the field. Who's the jackass who figured that out? What an idiot. I'll go to your house and I'll burn your family down, you dicks.
No, that's the evil
For
Jerry.
those
The real
that
Jerry would not
know.
say those things.
Literally, how do you come up with that? That's unbelievable. While we're here and your fans are clearly infecting our comment section, asking for some of your best hits. So the Flames are one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. Is that a good or bad thing, Mike?
Well, it's probably not. Well, look, the one thing about tanking, which everyone is in love with, they just figure that's the way to go. Is it McKenna? So we're going to go and throw it out. The real problem is just a if it indeed is a generational player. And we know who they were. You might even argue that people didn't think Matthew Schaefer was necessarily a generational player. Currently, right now, they'd be wrong because not only is he one of the most heralded rookie defensemen that we have ever seen. I mean, he's breaking like Bobby Orr-like records. Like, it's insane. But he also is one of the greatest, and he's a kid. He's 18. Rod, he's 18. We know his story. It's very public about him. You know, he lost his mom to breast cancer, and then his billet mom committed suicide, and it just all these things that had happened. And even a weird tie-in that I have with him. My wife taught with his aunt. And so he also played for the Erie Otters that was owned by a gentleman named Jim Waters from the Waters family, which was the Chum Limited Network across the. If it wasn't for Jim Waters, I never would have been on the air. Jim Waters was a big fan of mine, a big supporter. And then Jim, in that same period, he has a heart attack and dies. So there are a lot of people who go through a lot of things, I get it, that aren't hockey players, but that piled on this young man. And you saw what happened on the night of the draft, like we just absolutely melted down on an international television. But it was so emotional. I've never seen anything that honest in that capacity. Rod, I don't know about you. I've never seen anything like it. And then he goes out and he's just on a tear. He's just on an absolute tear. So do you tank for someone like that? Well, yeah, I guess if you had a crystal ball, you would. I just don't know necessarily for Flames fans. Now, do you sell off the parts and the pieces that don't work? Some of those guys who fit in that category of a little past the prime, maybe not producing the way they should. Do you get something for Kadri? Do you get something for Huberdeau? Yeah, you're definitely selling. Like you're going to be sellers. You have to be sellers because, as they say many times over, it's not just me, but Rod, as you know, to be in the middle or not at the very bottom in the NHL, if you finish in the middle, you get nothing. You get nothing. And that is a terrible, terrible place to be because it might take you years to go up or down. So you might as well go down. And I know that's why people love tanking. I do get that. I think the end result is it's all about that continuity, that ownership. And the fans right now are really very angry in Calgary with ownership. They love Connie. They love Craig Conroy for the most part. They believe in him. They're not sure about the ownership. And they're even fighting about things like ticket prices. Now that could, you can go to a lot of different places where they complain about it. That never happened when I was there. They didn't talk about ticket prices. That usually is a symptom of something else. And I think what they're really afraid of, Rod, to be honest, is the new building. Like if it costs that much now to go with a team that a lot of people are fighting with, think that they're AHL players, they're not going to, they might finish in a really bad place. Well, what's it going to cost when we go to that new building? So there is a lot of upheaval. And I don't have an answer. I honestly can't look at that thing and say, yep, you have to tank. Well, if McKenna's your answer, then what are all the pieces that go around with it? Not on the current team, because most of those are going to be gone. Moving forward, what's the plan? Tell me the plan. It's like a lot of teams in the NFL. I look at the Miami Dolphins for the last post Marino and look at these football people, because they're good football people there. It's like, but what's your plan? What was your plan? Because I get the feeling that you kind of don't have one. You hope you luck out with maybe the right quarterback and they get Tua in there. And then they get, you start going through all these names. But do you really feel like the Miami Dolphins have a plan? And that is ultimately the Achilles heel for any professional franchise in any sport, where you look at it and they go, you got no plan. You got no plan.
Buddy, I'm a Cowboys fan. I know all about that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
By the way, Eric in Vancouver writes in, he says, this guy is talented. He's okay. He's okay, Mike Richards. Yeah. Well, listen, let me flip this all around. I'm dying to get your take on college. I could go on about all these things with you, but time is limited. So to college football, yeah, it's not your fault. It's ours. College football. Notre Dame's crying. All the rest. Go.
Okay. So, you can cry, like all of a sudden the CFB and the formula and those picking the teams that get in was a surprise to you, because it's not. You look at a team, and I don't know if you saw the head coach from Vanderbilt, how he was approaching the same thing about not getting into the playoffs. He said, well, we left games on the table. We left points on the table. We did things that, knowing what it takes to get into those playoffs, and we didn't do them. So next year, our goal is to eliminate those things. To me, Rod, that's accountability. That's the kind of guy, and Vandy's building a program. Don't kid yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that they're immediately a playoff team, but they have the right attitude. They have a plan. What we just talked about. They have a plan. So I don't want to hear about Notre Dame crying when you look at what you needed to have done, what you needed to do. And, I look at the programs that got in there, and, for the most part, I think they're at least close on the formula. Like, look, you can nitpick about the CFP formula, and you can always nitpick probably about March Madness and in the 64 that do get in. But I think I heard you earlier today talking about, and I think you're right. Well, then show me the better process. Show me that better plan. Show me the better formula, and we'll take a look at it. Right now, I'm not seeing it. I don't have one. I don't know one's been submitted. So for the CFP playoffs right now, I don't mind it. You got a James Madison in there, so people are like, hey, isn't James Madison? Well, that whole, again, I go back to, okay, let's say you're taking a test. Say you're taking one of the hardest tests that you have to get into school. So let's say it's the LSAT. You want to be a lawyer. Well, if you've ever seen what that test looked like, it's not just about being a smart person or having a high IQ or being able to read, write, spell, comprehension. It is a bastard of a test. You have to understand how it works as the animal that it is, separately as a test only unto itself. So there's no comparison. There's no looking at what it takes, like the MCAT. It's not like the medical one. It's not like anything else that we deal with. It's its own universe. That is the formula for college football playoffs. You know what it is. You know what it takes. So if you lose a game to East Carolina, or you don't look good against a team that, there's all these things that So do your business. Oregon almost found themselves on the outside. Oregon came close to almost not getting in at some point. Their quarterback goes down. Indiana goes in. They punch him in the mouth. There's things that they saw. It almost slipped away, but then they had to play a strong game in Iowa. They had to go, and there's certain games they had to take care of business. They had to beat USC in a certain way. So they got in. Notre Dame didn't do those things. So if you don't do them, if you're one of those teams, I'm not crying for it. I have no tears for that.
When FSU got snubbed, the whole country was on their side. When Notre Dame got snubbed, here everybody's like, "Shut up!
Yeah, wow.
We'll let you bench for a day." And by the way, the Kirk in Toronto wants your take on Huff and Jim Barker to the Argos.
Well, the Huff thing did surprise me. So then I would have seen also Philip Rivers at 44 going into the Colts camp. I mean, and you have to know Huff's one of the all-time beauties. Like he's a great guy. But the hearing alone, I mean, he can hardly hear. It's really difficult. I'm thinking that it is also, we talk about symptoms. Well, I don't know if that's just the organization and those that own them saying we're out of ideas, and I don't know who else we can attract. So if we don't go old school, I don't know if we're going to attract anybody new school. I don't know if anyone wants to take the challenges of what you see that the Argos have that really no one else in the CFL has. Toronto has its own fight, and that's just to exist in a city that doesn't really have a love for football. Sorry, I've said it a million times. It is not a football city. I don't care what you're talking about. And if there are football fans, they're fantasy fans. They're fantasy football fans. They're Buffalo Bill fans, which is fine. But even still, I just think that they probably, at the end of the day, Rod said, the only guys that we're going to get in here are guys who've been around the block 1,000 times, and maybe they can do something. But after that, we're out of ideas. We're out of ideas. I'm happy for those guys. Obviously, Jim Barker, the coach, very good friend of mine. I mean, I think he's got one of the great minds in football, period. He also, when it comes to personnel, he just understands the game so well. But I'm always a little nervous when it feels like it's going to be a last stand here a little bit. And we already saw the disaster with, we're going to team up with the Buffalo Bills, and they're a part of it now. Yeah, okay. Death. It feels bad. I'm worried. I'm worried.
Oh, what did I say to you earlier? It's like, well, okay, we'll let you figure it out because that's what we pay you for. We completely botch it. So we got to bring in guys to fix it, and whether that's marketing or on the field or I don't know. I'm not a Toronto guy. I hope it works out. I love Tanner. How can you not?
Here's the problem. When they're not seen as professional, so they look at the Raptors, they look at the Blue Jays, they look at the Leafs. So that's what this city wants. When you start talking football and you talk about CFL, there's this glazed over. What? Are you talking about? No, they just there is not a love for it. The only way, quite frankly, and I know people don't want to hear this, it's not marketing because you can market them all you want. It's the player, a player. It is the way that we used to do things sometimes in the 70s when Terry Metcalf came up, when you were able to get a hold of the Warren Moons and the Joe Theismanns and the Doug Flutie's, the Flutie in the 90s. They need, you know what? There's your answer. You need the version of that, and you need them tomorrow.
All right, my friend. Merry Christmas. We're out of time.
Merry Christmas.
You're looking great, by the way. He's gone. The great Mike Richards on the Mount Rushmore of sports broadcasters, either country. We'll be right back.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues on a Wednesday, upcoming my NHL Top 5, Bottom 5. Text line is open for business, 902-518-3033. Didn't mention it this hour, but I did in the last hour. I'll mention it again now. Was looking up tickets for the College Football National Championship, which will be played some 40 miles from me, Miami Gardens, Florida, $2,700, the cheapest ticket on a resale site. No. Jim writes in from the 306 on the text line. He says $2,700. So I take it you're not going. How about no? I was in Palm Springs how many weekends ago? 2-3 weekends ago now, and I wouldn't pay $63 to go to an American Hockey League game. Thank God to the Coachella Valley Firebirds, by the way, because they gave me a media pass. I'm not even applying to the college football. I don't cover college football. I go to it. I don't cover it. I'm not going to be that guy. No. John in Edmonton writes in. He says, hey, Rod, thoughts on the NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly saying if the league's players feel the quality of the ice at the Olympics in Milan is unsafe, then we're not going to play? We addressed it yesterday, John. Where were you? We addressed it yesterday. My thoughts are that I support Gary Bettman and Bill Daly because I truly believe they're really cool guys and they'll do what's best for the players. And that's the end of it. I'm not going to worry about it. Try not to worry, John. That's today's advice. Worrying is like rocking in a rocking chair. Gives you something to do, but doesn't get you anywhere. Sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone. Asia Wilson stood up atop the WNBA again, winning an unprecedented 4th MVP as her Las Vegas Aces earned a 3rd championship in 4 seasons. For that, she earned the Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year award for the first time. It's the 2nd consecutive year a basketball player won the award after Caitlin Clark was honored in 2024. Hockey news, the St. Louis Blues have signed Dylan Dubé to an American Hockey League professional tryout agreement. Dubé is the last remaining player acquitted of sexual assault in a high-profile case involving members of Canada's 2018 World Junior team not to sign a contract somewhere. Goalie Carter Hart of the Vegas Golden Knights is the only one who has played in the NHL since the trial ended last summer with a not guilty verdict. And I paused this news story to tell you today is the last day that we're mentioning this. Defense, at least as it relates to Carter Hart. Defenseman Cal Foote signed with the AHL's Chicago Wolves last week, while forwards Alex Fermenton and Michael McLeod are playing in Europe. The Blues said Dubé would report to the Springfield Thunderbirds after receiving his work visa. And that is the sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in Moose Jaw or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. Thank you, Corey, for the timing update. Now, where did I put my timer? What I can guarantee you is I don't have time to get to the top 5, bottom 5 this week and the notes that go along with it. I don't have time in this segment, but I do in the next. Overtime is coming up for Overtime Hockey Lanes. But what I will do is my picks for tonight, and I will tell you that I was 6 out of 10 in NHL games last night. 58% pays, says my boy TK Wins, who I'll be seeing in about an hour's time. Rangers at Chicago tonight. I got to go with the Hawks at home, yo. Detroit at Calgary. I'm thinking Wings. I'm thinking the Wings will win in Calgary tonight. The Flames will not be enjoying hot wings. Detroit win tonight. Florida at Utah. Utah is who we thought they were. It's the Arizona curse. They try to snap that, on ice stink of the Coyotes. That doesn't work that way, guys. You tried. They get to December. Florida wins at Utah tonight. And the Los Angeles Kings are at Seattle. Kings coming off the big win at Utah. With the inconsistency of NHL teams right now, I'll cross the board. Look at Colorado losing in Nashville last night. Even the odds makers had the Avs to win that game, and they didn't. I will take the Kraken to win tonight over the LA Kings. Our top 5, bottom 5 is coming up next. We'll dump out the notebook with some things we haven't even talked about today. We'll be right back here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and the Game Plus Television Network across Canada and 32 U.S. states. And it's your last chance to get your comments in on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. We'll be right back.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime. At Overtime Hockey Lanes, there's always something exciting going on. I follow their social media channels, and you should too. They've got a new promotion on right now, free skate sharpening with one single drop-in session. Drop in, get an hour of lane time, and get your skates sharpened for free. What'll they think of next? 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Tell Randy and Michelle you saw us talking about them on the RP show, and they'll give you a good seat in the bathroom. No, I'm telling you, it's Disneyland for hockey players. What more do you need to know? It's your one-stop shop for hockey. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Speaking of hockey, you're not going to like what I have to say, Vancouver Canucks fans, although there's nothing I could say that would make it any worse than it already is. But Vancouver Eric writes in, and he says, regarding ticket prices, Canucks tickets, $42 in the upper bowl. Market crashing. For now, I get it. Same with the Dolphins. Start of the season, cheapest ticket in the upper bowl was about $275, the cheapest ticket in the whole place for the Miami Dolphins. Those tickets can now be had for $25. Last I looked. Now they're rebounding, so who knows what the Dolphins are going to do, as Mike Richards said. Here's the top five, bottom five. We do it every week on the Wednesday in the National Hockey League. The number one team in the NHL, everybody knows it, the Colorado Avalanche. Their goal differential of plus 48 is also best in the NHL. They are a wagon. Number 2, the Dallas Stars, the second hottest team in the NHL. Number 3, the Anaheim Ducks. They are for real. The Ducks have arrived. Number 4, I put the Vegas Golden Knights in there. You don't see them in the top 5 even in the standings, but their 29 games is the fewest of the upper echelon teams. That's why they don't appear in the upper echelon of the standings. But they are for real. Vegas is number 4. And number 5, the Washington Capitals. You can't argue with 8 wins in their last 10 games. Capitals are hot, baby. Bottom 5 teams are these. They'll surprise you, too. Number 28, the Calgary Flames. We hope they are not what we thought they were. But you need to stop winning. Number 29, the Buffalo Sabres. They are who we thought they were. Number 30, the St. Louis Blues. Hidden in their numbers is an NHL worst minus 30 goal differential. Second worst team, number 31, is Nashville. They're not going to figure this out. And the 32nd team is the Vancouver Canucks. If you don't believe me, go look at the NHL standings. Last overall, and I'd like to say we didn't see this coming, but we did. And now the Quinn Hughes watch is on. It's just a sad, sad story. Oh, I said there were some things we weren't going to talk about. Well, 2 things. One, coming back tomorrow with Kevin the Medium gone to the Dominican Republic, and he may never come back. He's sleeping in a treehouse. He might be eaten by wildlife there. Should I try to get a co-host tomorrow in Kevin's spot, or just keep rolling with just me? You tell me. We try to empower our viewers here and answer as many of your questions as we can. You want me going solo again tomorrow? Because I can do it. Trust me, I can do it, but I get sick of me. I don't know how anybody else wouldn't. And then the other thing, I saw this morning, because occasionally I glance at the news, and I saw Australia moving to ban social media for kids under the age of 18. And I know that's not a sports topic, but I was just talking to some hockey coaches yesterday from a high-performance hockey academy with the struggles that their players are going through with social media and bullying. And these are high-level teenage boys. Not that they're any better than anybody else. They're dealing with the same problems as everybody else. And we were just having a discussion about that. Now, they're largely 16 plus, so this social media ban of under 16 wouldn't really apply, but how do we feel about that? Because my daughter was 8, the youngest, when I got her a cellular phone on her own. And I didn't feel bad about it, because there was one day that the daycare called and said, where's your daughter? That's a scary call to get. And the next day I got a phone for her, and I won't care if anybody was mad about it, because I was traveling a lot, the voice of 2 teams at the time. But that's different than having social media. Now this, she wouldn't like me saying, but there was no social media back then. That's how old we all are. But there were cellular phones, so you could get a cell phone that doesn't have social media on it. My parents had it. A flip phone. And I just want to know, I wholeheartedly support Australia's move to ban social media under the age of 16. Technology can be a bad thing, but I largely think of it as a very, very good thing. There ain't absolutely no way in hell that I could have packed up this show and come to Florida and been through all the things that I've been through, if not for technology. And for it all to work as well as it has, I'm all for that, but it needs some help. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, Rod and Jeff, the Stamps fan, the cheapest ticket for tonight's Calgary Flames game is $67.50. That's in the upper bowl. Jeff, that same Jeff says, by the way, great move by Australia. Finally, some government leadership in the Western world. There's a simple take on the escalating ticket prices, and I know the teams won't like to hear me say it, but it's don't go. I was not going to go to that American Hockey League game if I had to pay that amount of money, and I did. When I said to Fish, $2,700, he didn't even need to say no. It's $500 for the Orange Bowl just a couple of years ago. It's gone exponentially out of control. Rather than complain about it, I just don't buy it. It's a hell of a lot more peaceful. And I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to depend a lot on who the teams are, of course. There ain't no matchup that's going to get me wanting to go. Will they come down? Maybe. Maybe not. I knew people that flew here last year for the Orange Bowl and waited for the ticket prices to come down. They didn't. So something we deal with every day and a fun topic. Anyways, we'll do it all again tomorrow. The Snowman will be with us, talking a lot of NFL, the usual topics right here. Thanks to Mike Richards for joining us today. Thank you to producer Corey and his team. And we'll do it all again tomorrow here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
That.